In this chapter, we're going to look at the food pyramid and its effect on men. In the last chapter, we looked at the food pyramid and its effect on women. And just to recant, we're going to do a quick review. We looked at Susan Burrell, head nutritionist at Westmead Hospital. She promotes a diet high in refined carbohydrates, spaghetti, rice, noodles, etc. And as we can see from a photo, the effect that particular advice is having on her own body personally. You can see she's got a fair amount of fat in her calves, fat hanging over her knees, very fat arms, and if you had a look at her bottom would probably look like this. Kind of saggy, cellulite, dimples, caused by the constant sugar spiking, the effect that has on our collagen, and the chronic malnutrition from eating that kind of food, which doesn't allow our body to repair the damage. In addition to the aesthetic challenges involved from her diet, she would be placing herself at much higher risk of heart attack, cancer, diabetes, depression, bipolar disorder, and so on. In addition, we discovered that diets designed by nutritionists like her killed about 110,000 people in America in 2003, slaughtered about 50,000 British nursing home residents every year, and caused severe chronic malnutrition in Australian nursing homes and hospitals as well. So what's the food pyramid diet based on highly processed refined carbohydrates like spaghetti, rice, bread done to the Australian male population? Quite a lot. While I've got this photo here, is just recently I gave a talk on the demise of the Australian male. In fact, the Australian male's in a bit of crisis. Once upon a time we're known as sun-bronzed legends, and today we're known as men that look like we've got a big tummy and little man boobs. And I gave a talk on that very topic a little while ago. In fact, we've got half the testosterone in 1945 and half the sperm count. And our New Zealand friends are doing even worse, with the New Zealand males having a 50% drop in their sperm count in the last 10 years. Why I've used this photo is just after this particular talk that I gave in front of about 40-50 people, a male nutritionist came up to me, and he would look exactly like this. His suit jacket was bursting at the front, and he came to thank me for the talk. Now, interestingly enough, he obviously didn't see himself as the male that I was talking about, and that's what the government studies show. About 80% of Australian males look like this now. 3 out of 10 Australian males have man boobs, but one surprising thing government studies have found is about 80% of the males who look like this don't know they look like this. So what's wrong with this particular body shape rather than it being aesthetically challenging? Well, first of all, that big protruding tummy and the man boobs is actually the #1 risk factor for heart disease. This guy would have about 20 times higher risk of heart attack than a normal male, and much higher risk of cancer. And on top of that, that big fat tummy does more than just sit there. It actually converts his testosterone to girl hormones, and that's part of the reason why he has those nice little man boobs that 3 out of 10 Australian men do. It does a little bit more than that. Those fat cells also produce disease and inflammatory markers, causing his blood vessels to get damaged, making him likely to get cancer, etc. But the other thing it does in his relationships is the fat cells are making him lots of estrogen. So what that does is his body starts producing female pheromone as well as disease markers. So to his female partner, he starts smelling like a diseased woman. On top of that, unlike us men, women actually judge males by how they look. Way back in the female genome is a little detector that detects males basically on their ability to hunt mammoth and fight saber-toothed tigers. And this is partly how they select their mates. To hunt a mammoth, you need to be pretty strong, pretty fit, be able to thrust a spear pretty well, and to fight tigers, probably a pretty similar thing. This male, if he came across a mammoth, wouldn't really be able to do too much, and if he had to fight a tiger, he would probably end up being meat. So from a female survival viewpoint, not a good match. And in fact, females actually pick males based on their ability to give pleasure. Their ability to give pleasure physically correlates with their ability to hunt mammoth, and when a female is actually testing a male in the boudoir, she's actually testing his physical power and strength to see how good he is hunting at mammoth. What's actually happened to this male, and let's call him the male nutritionist as at the last seminar that I gave. What's actually happened, he's eaten a lot of spaghetti, rice and bread, and processed manufactured foods, and the constant sugar spiking has damaged his hormones and his energy metabolism. So what actually happens, as soon as he eats, the fat stores straight into his stomach, and on top of that, the constant sugar spiking has damaged his metabolism. In fact, he's got the #1 indicator for diabetes, that big tummy. And what actually happens, instead of the body using the fat as a fuel, it uses his muscles. That's why these males tend to have skinny little legs and no butt muscle. The body uses their muscle as a fuel, not the fat. So what has the food pyramid diet done to the male population? You know, the diet that actually recommended by qualified nutritionists. Well, in 1911, there was no atherosclerosis or blocking of the arteries. In fact, the first case was recorded in 1911. They did 1,000 autopsies, couldn't find another case. By the Korean War, 26% of casualties had it, and by the Vietnam War, 50%. Today, it's 40% of school children. Male obesity in the school system has doubled in the last 5 years. Males are really taking a major assault. Learning difficulties are skyrocketing young boys, and that's partly because of this manufactured processed spaghetti rice bread diet, incredibly deficient in essential fats that they need to A, make their hormones, B, develop their brains. Males are very sensitive to it. So what's it done to the diabetes rate? Well, in the 1900s the rate was 3 per 1,000. Today, about 45% of Australian males over the age of 40 have pre-diabetes or diabetes. I've included in this a very overweight local Gold Coast paediatrician. Likes to medicate kids on ADHD drugs. But anyhow, I'd like to get the point across here too. If you see a healthcare practitioner who's fat and overweight, don't use them. Don't listen to them. Government figures put about 90% of our current illnesses being obesity and food related. So why go to a healthcare practitioner like a fat naturopath, a fat nutritionist, or a fat paediatrician? They obviously don't have a grasp themselves of the problem and eat badly. In fact, in the shopping trolley there's actually a slab of Coke and quite a few packets of biscuits and maybe some frozen pizza, and I'd say that is why he's 100 kilo overweight, not because of genetics. So anyhow, let's use me as an example of what happens when you use the food pyramid. Here I am at the age of 35, as a bit of a serious athlete, just finished climbing a mountain, looking very old and aged. By the age of 42, here I am, very fat, overweight, 54-inch stomach, riddled with arthritis. Fact of the matter is my body can no longer handle the sugar spiking, etc. Maybe when I was younger, but now I paid the price of it. You'll notice I too have very sexy little man boobs. In fact, when they did the testosterone tests on me, I was in the bottom 10% of 40-year-old males. And what's sad about that is the testosterone level of 40-year-old males today. So it would have been half of a 40-year-old male in 1945. Here I am at the age of 43, 1 year later, off the food pyramid diet. Notice my arthritis is gone. I'm back to lean, fit and cut. In fact, I celebrated my 43rd birthday by riding 170 kilometers on my bike and finishing with 10 sprints. Here I am 8 years later, at the age of 50, looking fit, healthy and vital still. In fact, younger than I did at 43. And I celebrated my 50th birthday by climbing Mount Warning and then doing a 4 or 5 hour bike ride the next day over the mountains of northern New South Wales. And here I am at the age of 52, still following the program. It's very easy to do, and you can see the benefits for me as a male, where most males are getting old and decrepit. I actually celebrated my 52nd birthday by riding 150 kilometers to Byron Bay, and the next day doing a 4 hour bike ride. In fact, I had my testosterone recently tested. It was in the top 1% of 25-year-old men. And just to give you an idea of just the kind of results you can get, here are my legs and back.